traders, and welcome to this week's Forex Focus. I hope you've all had a good week in the markets. There were definitely a couple of opportunities there last week that you could have taken advantage of. We've got a lot more setting up this week as well, so that's good news. So the momentum is continuing for the early part of 2016, and I hope your trading is going really well as well. What we're going to do now, as always, we're going to take a look at the markets to see what could be setting up next week and what opportunities we're going to be looking to trade. So without further ado, let's jump over to the charts and take a look at those opportunities. So the first one we're going to take a look at is this one here on the Aussie New Zealand. Now, the thing that's interesting about this, and what I like about this this particular opportunity here, is that we're seeing momentum obviously on the 1 hour and the 4 hour chart, which is where we'll probably be looking to take our entries from. But if you then take a look at the weekly chart over here, you can see that the market, that momentum there, that's really telling us something. That's a hugely bearish weekly candle there. So if we just zoom in just a little bit, you can see that at one moment in time, this market was literally all the way up here in the week, and it dropped, some 300-400 points there, pips there, to close towards the absolute low of the week. So there's a couple of clues there that the market next week, at least temporarily, is going to move to the downside. Now, we've obviously got, zoom out here again a little bit. We've obviously got this structure level here that we need to pay attention to. So we're coming up to this level in about 100 pips time, which could provide an opportunity to the market to bounce from. But if the market does get below this level here, which is also this level over here, so we've also got this low to the left there, which is back in 2014. So if the market can get below that level, then to me it kind of opens up the trapdoor down towards at least sort of the 1.0000 level, which could be really quite a great move. Now, we have to be mindful of this going into next week, so we don't want to be taking a trade into that specific level there, but I would say that this is certainly on our radar, and if we kind of get a little bit of a pullback here and then an opportunity to sell it, I would certainly sell it down towards these lows here, then see how the market reacts when it gets down to those lows. But the overall picture here, the thing that I like, and this is what we try and teach our students, all of the time, is really to put the market into context. And the fact that the weekly is certainly trending down here, as you can see, the daily is also trending down. It's at a structure level which will signal, some big time down moves once it gets below this level. Then we look for our opportunities on something like the 4 hour, the 1 hour chart. It really looks like a good opportunity next week when you take the overall market context into account as well. The CAD yen, while it's no secret that the Japanese yen has been strengthening, towards the last part of last year, obviously, and the beginning of this year. And you can see on basically all of the yen charts, the Japanese yen is appreciating against everything. So the CAD yen here has fallen off an absolute cliff. You can see that you got initial breaker of the 88, or actually pretty much the 89 level there. And once you broke the 89 level, the market's nearly moved sort of like 1,000 pips towards the downside there. So it's a massive move there. There's quite a lot of momentum with this. We're not going to try and jump in and get involved in this trade right down here at the lows. It doesn't necessarily make much sense. We're going to look for a bit of a pullback, a bit of consolidation on the 1 hour or the 4 hour charts. On the 4 hour, if we can get some sort of a pullback towards these sorts of areas up here, so maybe a 400 or 500 pip pullback, that will be nice. And then we'll look for another opportunity to go short on the CAD yen. The EURCAD has been appreciating. It recently, just last week, broke out of this structure level here, which is nice to see. So we've broken out of this major structure level, which if you look at it on the weekly chart, you can see how much of a big deal that is. So it was a high back at the beginning of 2014. It was a high last year, and now we've managed to break out of that level. And look at the momentum the market has broken out of that level with. And that's what's really, really important. You don't want to see the market sort of just break out of this level, then hang around at the level. You want to see the momentum there. So you want to see that, not only stop orders are getting triggered, but also there's additional buy orders coming into the market. And you can kind of see that there by looking at that candle. In terms of a setup, there's nothing right now. But if we do get a pullback towards the 100 moving average, or towards, if the market revisits these highs here, then we'd look to take a bounce off of that level and take an opportunity to the upside. The pound franc, is very similar sort of situation. We've broken out of a structure level here on the pound franc, as you can see, to the downside. So the market went up, made a high, had another attempt at the high. When it got to these highs over here, the market just absolutely sold back down. This is what we sort of term as a liquidity fade. So, you know, like with the EURCAD just now, once the market gets out above a level, you want it to move up with momentum. You don't want it to retrace back down. And if you take a look at this level here, almost as soon as the market was above it, it sold back below it. And that there is an opportunity that we look at where basically we sell the false breakout there. So you can see that the market's definitely bearish just from the reaction to that level there. Now that the market's broken through this structure level, we'll be looking for an opportunity either on the 1 hour or potentially the 4 hour to get short the pound franc. The pound yen is a great one. Gave us a couple of opportunities here last week. Let's get these off the charts here for a second for you. So we got an opportunity last week to sell beneath these lows here, as you can see, stop above the high, and the market closed down towards the lows last week, which was lovely to see. Going into this week, again, we're going to be looking for the same. I'm sort of feeling like we need to see a pullback in the 4 hour chart now, because the market has gone a long way. And obviously you don't want to stand in front of a train, so potentially the market could keep going down towards the 163 level. But at some point of time, the market does have to take a little bit of a breather. It does have to pull back somewhat. When it does pull back after a move like this, I'm definitely going to be taking opportunities to sell during the pullback, because you would imagine that after a momentum move like this, the market would at least have another attempt at the lows there. But I'm just a little bit cautious about trying to sell right down all the way down here when the market has moved, you know, a good sort of nearly 2,000 pips in a relatively short space of time there. So at some point, the market does have to pull back. So I think for this opportunity here, for this pair here, it's going to be waiting next week to see if we can get some sort of a pullback. If we can, then we'll sell into that. The pound New Zealand, this is, I really like this opportunity here because one, we can see we've got, and I think it was similar for the Aussie New Zealand we just looked at just now, but we've got this massive momentum on the 1 hour chart. You've got momentum on the 4 hour chart. And if you go and take a look at the daily and the weekly chart, so the weekly chart there, you can see that it's definitely taken a bit of a bearish turn. If you look at the daily chart, it's printing lower highs. So we've got a high here, lower high, and then lower lows. And the market prints a low there, it breaks out of that low. And the market is starting to move quite harmonically for this particular pair here. And you can see that this candle here on the daily chart is quite a strong bearish candle. And from that perspective, even the candlestick pattern perspective, we've got a break below support, a pullback to support, a nice candlestick pattern there of which you could get into that in isolation. And then if we go and take a look at the 4 hour and the 1 hour charts, we should start to see these trend towards the downside. And when it does that, we will be looking to get involved in those trades. And basically, we're anticipating that the market comes down to this sort of level here. So a good 500 pips on the pound New Zealand before we see any sort of support on the way down. Then we have the pound dollar, which we see is a big short this year, well, especially for sort of like the first half of the year anyway. You know, this is going to be a massive short for us. At the moment, there's been no opportunity, but we're certainly looking for some sort of a pullback here. Very similar to sort of the pound yen that we spoke about earlier, in that it's gone a long way in a short space of time. And from that perspective, it's starting to get a little bit dodgy trying to sell right at the bottom here. So we'd like to see a bit of a pullback on the 1 hour or the 4 hour chart, at which point we'll then look to take the sell. Finally, the dollar CAD. The dollar CAD is just breaking out to new highs each and every day. It really isn't stopping at all. And it's been doing that for a long while. Fundamentally, this is an absolutely great trade. We just need to find the entry. At the moment, you know, we haven't had an entry in this as of yet. You know, the problem here, obviously, is that the market is it's just gone in one direction. And every time you buy towards, you know, the highs here, especially after it's moved that sort of a distance, is you're always in danger of buying the top tick and then the market pulling back down below. And we don't want to be doing that. We want to be getting into those trades that are absolutely obvious. Now, even though in the long run we think this is going to be higher. So if you ask yourself the question, is the dollar CAD going to see, above 1.4534, which is where the market closed at? Is it going to see that? Is it going to see above that? I would say absolutely yes. The problem is timing. Now, if you buy it up at the top here, you always run the risk that you get into something that you have to hold it underwater for a significant period of time, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to have your money tied up in things when it could be put to better use in other trades. So really here, what we're going to do is we're going to be smart. We're going to wait on the sidelines and wait for the opportunity to present itself, as opposed to being one of those rookie traders, the retail traders out there that will chase something just because they see it's moving. And as soon as they get into it, the market turns around and they wonder why. Okay. So that wraps it up for this week's Forex Focus. As I said to you just now, really, I think the theme of this week is patience. So there's definitely a lot of moves out there that you can take. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to become that retail trader, that rookie trader that sees a massive move. They've waited for all of that confirmation in the world. They've got involved in the move, and then suddenly the market goes and turns around. You want to be the professional trader. So you need to wait for the right setups, for the perfect setups. Yes, a lot of these markets have moved a long way. And yes, it might be frustrating if you weren't involved in any of those trades. But the answer is not just to go and jump into the trade right now. That's absolutely not the answer. The answer is to be disciplined. Say, yes, the market has gone a long, long way in a short space of time. That's a big trend, and the market isn't going to turn that around, anytime soon. So it's not going to completely reverse this entire move here in one. Yes, we might start to see bottoming in the pound yen, for example, hypothetically, but that's not going to be without a fight. So all of those people that were making money when they were selling the markets, they're not going to give up just now because they've made a lot of money. So they believe that they can make more money if they were to sell it again, right? So you need to think about the psychology in the market. You need to think about what the bigger players are doing, what they're going to be thinking. If you made that amount of money selling the market, the next time the market pulled back, you'd think, yeah, you know what? I just made money doing the exact same thing. Why not try it again? I've got all of this profit on the table. Even if I risk a little bit, why not try and push the market a little bit lower and see what we can get? And the point of that is that we are going to see some sort of a correction, but we're also going to see another attempt at those lows at some point in time. And that's really what we need to be patient for. We don't want to be trying to trade, right at the bottoms of these things, because that's where we're going to get stung. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this week's Forex Focus. If you've got any questions, comments, please feel free to post it beneath the video. Give us the thumbs up if you like it. And of course, please feel free to share this with, any friends, family, anybody you think might enjoy this or might find some value out of these analysis sessions that we do here. Remember again that this is obviously for educational purposes only. We're showing you what we're going to do with our own accounts. None of this is investment advice in any way whatsoever. Okay, so it's literally just showing you what we're doing with our accounts in the week ahead and weeks ahead. And then obviously you need to still go and do your own due diligence. Okay, so thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful week in the market. So until next week, take care now.